I'm here with Tommy of Prong to talk about State of Emergency out October 6th on Steam Hammer SPV. Thank you very much for taking the time. You're an absolute legend, and you made my day for sitting across the camera with me to talk about Prong, one of the bands that I discovered when I was a teenager when I saw Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck on MTV Headbangers Ball. That's the introduction I'm giving you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you doing it. It's great, man. It's like, I'm glad that song keeps going, and I'm glad that people got into the band for this long based on that song. So we needed that. Thank you.
You know, that's the track that I used to introduce my kid when he was a teenager to Prong. I figure if it worked for me, it'll work for him. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Totally, man.
So 13 records, this year 13 record. How difficult and challenging has the road been to get to where you are now?
Oh, man. I mean, there's been a lot of ups and downs, and I've had to compare my career to a baseball player where you have a batting average of 333, and that's one hit out of, and that's a good average. You have one hit out of every three at bats. So it's mostly failure. Like this record wasn't that much of a failure. Like there was all the signs of success on this one, but I've learned from mistakes from old records, and I just had to learn on the road and learn as I go along and try not to make the same mistakes again, which I have done. And I just try to be committed to what I'm doing and focused and humble at the same time. So that's where I'm at now. But it's been a crazy run. Like it's every year I don't think I'm going to do it, and I get drawn back into it. I keep thinking that I'm going to be able to quit or stop, and I wind up keep doing it. Whether somebody offers me a new record deal or tours come about, I'm like, I guess I got to keep doing it. So hopefully, you know, I still have the energy to make at least one more record. So that's where I'm at right now.
When I was listening to this album, it kind of gave me the feeling, the sensation that this record offers the fans a little bit of a representation of what the band has been across the previous 12 albums, but it also opens the door in terms of what the future could be. Is that how you see State of Emergency?
I don't know about the latter part of your statement. I don't see the future as much as the past, and like that's true because you're working under the framework of Prong. That's the umbrella concept. Being a legacy band, which means we have a lot of records out previously, I'm able to pick and choose styles of that I think are present in Prong that I think were successful. And that sort of relates to my first comment where I learned from mistakes. There's certain elements of Prong that I want to continue that I like, and then other parts of it where I don't want to continue. So the more successful aspects of it, I look at, and they're more ingrained in what I do. I think I through some automatic nature of filtering out the bad stuff. That's what comes through when I'm writing new material. I think it naturally reflects the good songs and the best part of Prong in the past. So, and you know, like I like to please the fans. Like I don't want to go off on these tangents. I want people, oh, well, this is a Prong record. Maybe we got some really good reviews initially saying, like, you know, every Prong fan is going to be happy with this record because it's just it represents what the band has done. And I think that's a problem with some artists. And I've done the same thing where, you know, I'm like, you know, now I don't want to do what I did before completely, and I'm going to go into a different direction and be totally experimental, and that doesn't work. So I'm happy with the way it's been stylized. I mean, some people don't even know, like not familiar with Prong and they don't like it or whatever, and I can't worry about that stuff too much anymore. You know, I can't. You know, we broke the ground a long time ago. And now as a legacy group, I just stick to what, you know, I think we do best.
Oh, I thought the record was great. I mean, one of the beauties of this album is that you get the different facets of Prong from track to track, But at the end of the day, the whole record is Prong. The DNA of the band, sound-wise, is present in every single song. You're just changing the recipes.
I totally agree. Yeah, the recipe has a lot to do with the producer and how the treatments are in his view. But we've worked with Evans before. I mean, Steve Evans, the producer, he produced Carved into Stone, and he worked on Ruining Lives as well. So he's a proven part of the band, its history as well, where I'm very happy with those records. I mean, people look back on it, especially Carved into Stone. People refer to that as a strong record. So I like the work he did on that. So the new one, I think, is up there with that one as well.
Yeah, I honestly was surprised because I thought you were going to release a record where you tried to reinvent the wheel. And when I start pressing play, I was like, I'm looking for three things here. I'm looking for a great guitar sound, which is in every Prong album. I'm looking for the bass to really pop and have an impact, which is in every Prong album. And I'm looking for the vocals to be spot on. And the moment I hit play, I was like, all right, nobody's reinventing the wheel. This album offers all three. So do you see those the same way I see those as being the three cornerstones of the band? Are those the cornerstones that you see as well?
Yes, and to add to that would be the focus on songs, classic rock song type of mentality. Because I mean, bands today, of all, mostly in the metal biz, they've, I mean, I may be wrong, but they tend to reject those standard rock formats for songs. I don't know whether because it's too challenging or they just think it's for old people or something. But it's easy to go off on those tangents and just be completely crazy, experimental to try to fit stuff into getting some hooks in there, vocally, guitar wise, and then getting those arrangements together. That's a whole talent in itself, or a goal. And then sonically, yeah, like you mentioned, the important sonic aspects of the record, and you have to watch out for that because right from the beginning, if things aren't recorded right, and we don't make computer records, so everything is pretty organic. So right from the beginning, we make sure that those things are right, the sound. So but we've done it before. That's the thing. It's like the benefits of being a legacy band. It's like I know what mics I'm not gonna like. It's like just use this mic again. Like I know it works. Let's just let me use that guitar. I know that one's gonna be good. We don't have to like we've been through all that already. So that's, again, I said it. This is the fifth time. The benefit of being a legacy band, and I've made so many records in my life that that helps as well.
You close off the record with a Rush cover. Being Canadian, I have to ask you this: what kind of impact has Rush had on you?
As a kid, it had a lot of impact. In recent years, I'm not one of these continual Rush heads like a lot of these people. I don't know if they have a nickname like Deadheads, but I'll just call them Rush heads. But they have a huge fan base. But as a kid, I think I'm an original Rush fan. And I'm an original Kiss fan too. Like, I'm old enough to know when those bands came out, and I got their first record. So as a kid, and they were one of the bands. I mean, I was like, I've seen them so many times as a kid. Like, they were open up for UFO. I saw them open up for Kiss. I saw them headline. By the time 2112 came out, they were headlining. So I've been through it all. That record and that song is very important because that's a real early record for me. And I really like that record. I like the way it sounds. I like the song Working Man. I like the Alex Lifeson's guitar playing. Like everything about it I thought was really cool. So the lyric is amazing. It's it's almost like a Hank Williams record or something, like a song. It's like in metal, we're in a time when you focus, it was either cock rock or, fantasy, like, like Rainbow, like Dio type lyrics. And like, they were more like, oh, yes, I'm a working man. I hate my life. And, like, that's about it. And I thought that's cool. That's almost like Henry Rollins, like that's almost in that vibe. And, that's where I come from, like, Black Flag and Killing Joke eventually, where it was more, like these personal frustrations rather than the typical metal lyrics. So yeah, I mean, before any of those bands, they were doing stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool.
I thought it was also really cool. Another aspect of that cover. First of all, it's a great closing song because of the way the song finishes. It's almost like you're finishing a live set. It has that finality to it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It closes off the record really well. I'm even wondering if you'll end up adding it to your set list because I think it's such a great track. And the reason why I say that is because of those that are not Rush fans listening to that song, they'll think that's just a Prong song. It has a lot of cool DNA in it. You kept the original skin, if you will, or paint job, but I feel like the motor is a little bit different. And I thought that gave a really different spin on that track. I really love it. So would you consider adding that to a set list in the future?
Yeah, I don't think we're prepared right now to do it, but I initially I thought that was the idea. Now you just reminded me that we'll probably should do that eventually. So now I'm like, yeah, that would be cool to do that. I mean, so once the record, comes out, or excuse me, hopefully people will know it's on there. Then, like down the line, we'll see if we can do it.
When you decide to name the record "State of Emergency," do you see a state of emergency around you in life and society and music and the music business? What inspired that title?
Not in my life that much, but I could see it in others, and like through the media and like things I'm hearing. I think there are a lot of kids, especially, are in crisis these days, and like that's the song "The Descent." Well, he's more of an adult person, and he doesn't feel adequate. The narrative in the song "The Descent," the first song on the record, he's in a personal state of emergency because like he's on the brink of like self-destruction because he's he's so bombarded with social media and like feelings of inadequacy and like I don't know where to hide, I don't know what to do anymore. It's like, what am I supposed to do? Like you know I'm pulled in all these directions. So then based on his post-pandemic era that we live in, I'm just reflecting on the end of the pandemic where everyone was definitely at a breaking point and tired of the lockdowns, tired of being told what to do, of shutting their businesses down, etc. So it got to this major state of emergency, and then it's just the propaganda too. Where everything is a state of emergency. Every time, like I have to laugh. I was living in California for a while, and like every summer, my one of my sisters would call me up. It's like, "Oh, are you by the fires?" And I'm like, "No." The fires, every summer these damn fires happen, and then you call like, well, it's all in the news, it's like a state of emergency out there. It's like, I'm like, yeah, I know, they keep playing this thing up. It's like, yeah, I see the smoke, it's far away, but it's nothing new. Like they keep saying all this stuff is a state of emergency and like all these things that happen. And I'm not, yeah, I fail to see it as the end of the world. So that's where the big state of emergency is. So when I had all these lyrics, and then when I was reviewing them to come up with a title track and a title of the album, I said, yeah, I mean, everything's a state of, all these songs are about sort of a state of emergency. So that's like, really the title. And then I wrote the song "State of Emergency" as the title track. The lyric, I had the music written, but I put that, after looking at all the lyrics and trying to find some kind of cohesion of all of it.
What have you done over the years to keep your vocals the way they are? Because when I listened to this record, it was pure vintage. I mean, you haven't aged a bit from the 80s to now. Your voice sounds the same.
Well, I mean, it's gone through a lot of different changes. I had, with the help of Steve Evans, I think when we went in to do Carved Into Stone, like I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was that I didn't like my vocals, and I thought they were holding us back. So when looking for that first producer, I go, I want a guy that does a lot of work with vocalists, and he worked me my ass off on that. Like he was really hard on me, and I just started making some realizations. He pointed out some things to me about singing that a lot of people don't agree with. I'm going to tell you right now, like, you know, some the ideas that he has are a lot of people don't agree with them. I do. So I just continued that method, and then you know, on another note, you know, like not smoking and then not doing any drugs and drinking is a big thing, and you know, I don't do any of that, so that helps.
You know, there seems to be something in the water in New York, because you got bands like Biohazard now coming back. Life of Agony is playing great shows. You guys are going to be touring together. Did you guys share like this fountain of youth that allows these bands from New York to have this incredible longevity?
I hate to compare myself with those guys. I mean, like Biohazard is just like that's like a phenomenon, you know. Like they're like individually, those guys are sort of stars, you know. So they've always just had that thing. I don't know what it is. I could say honestly, I had something to do with discovering them, because like they were just a bunch of kids and they came in. Like I was working at CBGB and they gave me the demo tape, and I was like, these guys are good, man. Like, you know, like we gave them their first show. So I've always been supportive of those guys. They're just like, they've just been blessed, you know, like by something you can't even describe. Life of Agony is sort of like that too. Like they're just this very special. I don't think Life of Agony will ever age. I think that like Joey, he lives by me here. Like he's like a little kid still. Like he's still, to me, both those bands and those guys are like, except Evan's like a mature guy. He's like a guru or something. But like, you know, those guys will always seem to be like little babies to me. Like especially Life of Agony. I look when I went, I'm like, you know, you guys will always be like little kids to me. Like, and they are. They're like little kids. It's weird. They're like total little babies. So it's just the way they are. They're very youthful type people. Me, I don't know. I'm just keeping this going through the records or anything. I don't know if I could be compared to those guys.
I think you need to be in the same conversation for sure. You know, the impact that Prong has had, not just in that scene, but in music in general, it cannot be denied, and I don't think it needs to be underplayed. I think
I'll take it. Yeah,
I think you need to take it, because it's you deserve it. Like the work that you've done, and this record is just like the latest statement of that work. Do you have a favorite song on this album that maybe lyrically means something extra special for you?
Yeah, I mean, the song "Non-Existence" is a real special one to me, because I had it was late in my life. I've had two new kids, so I have three kids now, but we've had two new babies recently, and that's been a fantastic experience. So, but then I came to realize that, you know, the great thing about, I think, America is like, you know, it used to be, you know, we have like this respect for life, and you know, like you know, existence is better than non-existence. So that's what that song is about. It's like, you know, whatever happens in your life, it's still like, at least you're alive, you know, like, you know, oh, I could breathe, you know, I maybe still, how down I am or whatever, I could still contribute something to life, you know, I could, you know, and then, you know, we should appreciate everybody for what they contribute. Like, so again, I'm sort of like the working man too. Like we're, you know, like the video, like I had the idea I had for the lyric video was, you know, construction projects, and, you know, like the building, and like guys that to put up a building, and from the planning, and these guys actually in the trenches putting up, you know, especially a skyscraper like in New York, to me is still amazing to me. I can't, like for humans to be able to do that is insane to me. Like to conquer nature that way, and I think that's a great thing. And like there seems to be a tendency out there, like, oh, progress is bad, and I'm not one of those people. Like I think that like mankind does fantastic things, and we've come out of the caves, and now we're like, we do these amazing structures, and digital technology. All this stuff is mind-boggling to me. Like the technology needs to be respected, and the minds that come up with this stuff should be respected as well. It's like we take a lot too much for granted all the time.
Every album, last question for you, every album it's a chapter within the history of the band. Do you have an album that is the most defining chapter in the history of Prong?
Yeah, I mean, the Cleansing has got to be that one. I mean, because that holds the song that keeps the band going, which is "Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck," which it's one of those staples. It's on to this day. It's on multiple playlists on Spotify. Bands still cover the song. So there's other bands out there that are like, Tommy, I wish I had that one song that was like that. Like one of those songs that is just you can't crush it. It just keeps going. So Cleansing is definitely the record for Prong, the one that I'm mostly proud of. Even this record, I sort of look back to the way side A and B runs on Cleansing, where it starts out real hard, then it gets into a groovy thing, and then it gets weird. And that's what I wanted on this record. Like there's some of the weird songs, like like Compliant and Disconnect. They're not really like metal songs. So and then Test sort of ends with this chaotic thing at the end, and it's like Working Man has this big ending. So the flow of State of Emergency, I tried to copy the way Cleansing was.
Well, I hope this album is as successful for you as Cleansing. Thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you on the road supporting this record. It would be an absolute pleasure. So thank you once again for sitting down with me and talking about the new album.
Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate it, my man. Thank you, buddy.
Take care, man. Bye.
Thanks.